Don't date single mothers. It is not a man's best interest. A relationship with a single mother often invites both drama and unnecessary complexity into a man's life. Now, not every single mother is bad news, but the reality is they bring a lot of problems into a man's life that a woman without children simply don't. You have all the responsibilities of being a dad without the authority. They will be our kids when she needs you. However, they will be her kids when you need to discipline them and enforce healthy boundaries. And you'll be using a lot of your resources to raise someone else's kid.
Don't date single mothers.
On why you shouldn't date single moms has gotten so many comments and a lot of views, I figured I'll follow up. By me making these videos, I am in no way saying single mothers don't deserve love or that they're bad people. I'm just saying for men, if you are choosing to get involved with them, understand what you're getting involved in. So another thing is, a lot of single mothers typically come from a victim mindset. They're constantly complaining about how much of a deadbeat the dad is, why he's not in the picture. Well, you have to understand that you chose this man and you gave him the highest honor you can give someone. So lastly, I'll say this. Why should a man with no kids give his kids that he's going to have half? And to all the single moms that do see this video, what are you bringing to the table that's so incredible that one man should diminish his legacy by 50% to raise another man's legacy by 50%? Hit me in the comments, let me know, like and follow for more.
Avoid dealing with lone mothers. I'll explain the background as to why you shouldn't. Back and forth, it says over here. When the movie is finished, which should be around 9 or 10, she says, I just wanted to let you know that I'm meeting with my kid's father after work for dinner. Prior to accepting the invitation, I merely wanted to let you know. I hope you're not bothered by that. She is not requesting his consent, so let's get that out of the way first. She is not requesting anything from him, not even his pardon. She is essentially saying, I'm going to go hang out with my kid and her dad, and we're going to go see a movie and have supper, to the man. I hope that doesn't disturb you, she adds. He replies, I'm going to put it the way it sounds in my thoughts, in response. While I'm at work right now, my girlfriend is hanging out in her apartment with an ex-boyfriend and her daughter. He is correct. But let's keep on for now. In actuality, I would be visiting his home, and indeed, that is what is taking place. However, I have continued this custom with him even since I moved out before you and I met. We started it years ago. He then adds, I know. Then it reads, okay then, so now he rephrases it on the second and last pages. While I'm at work, my girlfriend will visit her ex-boyfriend to hang out with him and his daughter. I'm trying to comprehend what about, she continues. What about this disturbs you? He continues, it's a respect issue. When my girlfriend visits her ex-boyfriend and hangs out with him and his daughter while I'm at work, I feel disrespected. Your relationship is still going strong if you continue to act that way after splitting up. There are always around a dozen people watching, so let me define cuckold for them. One definition of a cuckold is someone who, in essence, raises the child of another man. It's always negative. In essence, he enjoys witnessing another man having an intimate encounter with his partner. He looks after another man's child. Although it has been defined in a variety of ways, that is essentially what it is. It doesn't look good. Then he adds, if I'm wrong, please explain how. I'm about to log into a meeting, so I'm unable to respond at the moment. Later, let's discuss. And often, situations like that work out like way. And speaking of moving on, I need to leave right away. I have things to do. It's humorous and interesting at the same time. But ultimately, if you're going to deal with a single parent, you're going to deal with stuff like this, was how I interpreted that. It's just a given. You're going to end up in a situation like, sooner or later, if you let a lady into your life who has a child or children, MGTOW from a separate marriage, a relationship, a boyfriend, or something similar. It only sounds like one kid in this situation. I've worked one-on-one with a variety of males throughout the years, and occasionally there are several children from various fathers involved. You want to discuss adding to, welcoming complexity into, and excessively complicating your life. Go date someone who has a ton of children from a ton of different men, and watch how simple, rewarding, and enjoyable your life becomes. A situation like that simply doesn't work. It turns out to be a nightmare. Is this guy mistaken? Actually, no. Would you want your wife or girlfriend to go out to dinner with an ex-boyfriend while watching a movie? I am aware that the child serves as an anchor in this situation and serves as a sort of link between these two individuals. But guys like these will always find it difficult to deal with this dynamic. If we could put it that way, women despise it when men have children from a previous relationship, whereas men who don't tend to be more understanding of the woman's past and her choices. However, the issue or difference between men and women is that, usually speaking, men have much less custody than women. I believe that women still receive roughly 80% of the custody decisions, and 43 to 44% of today's kids are being raised by just their mother. In general, if you're a man dating a woman with kids, she's probably with her kids pretty much all the time, whether you're a man or a woman. Many of these guys, even if they are parents themselves, they frequently find themselves in a situation where raising someone else's children takes up more of their time than raising their own children. As of right now, the allusion he made to it is largely accurate because she is essentially cocking him by spending time with this man. It doesn't matter whether some people disagree or debate over it. He has a point, and that is the purpose of this. It doesn't matter how you try to slice and dice this. They claim there are numerous ways to deal with it. That is the point I'm trying to make. There are always further levels of issues that surface. It's never easy when you start dealing in this field. It is never simple. It most certainly isn't enjoyable, and it most certainly isn't lucrative. You desire a simple, prosperous, and enjoyable life. Avoid dating single mothers. Don't approach them. If you want to engage in a friendship with benefit style situation, that's ok. However, as soon as she begins telling you things like, "Hey, my kids have been peeking over my shoulder and wondering who I've been texting. I think it'd be good if you came over sometime," and you met them, things like that, you know she's not telling the truth. We went to Chuck E. Cheese together, and that's when you think, nope, next, I'm good. Gentlemen, that is the extent. That is a boundary. That is a barrier that you should erect around yourself and your life, particularly if you are a single man without children. Interacting with women who have children is mainly done by single males without children. Guys take on the responsibility of effectively performing the role of a parent and end up with no authority because they are so forgiving, way too forgiving. As a parent, but with complete and total responsibility for raising a child they didn't even father and who has neither their last name nor their DNA. There is no advantage to it. None anything, not a single one. There is just risk and downside. Speaking of risk, let me give you an example. I can't tell you how many guys I've talked to who were dating single mothers and who put themselves in a situation where, because they were with them for a certain amount of time and lived in their state or province, the state, let's just call it, viewed it as a marriage because after you lived together for a certain amount of time, if someone's common law spouse, the state viewed it as a marriage. Additionally, a few of guys have been responsible for child support. For a child you didn't have, father, that isn't your last, and lacks your DNA because you performed the part of father for a sufficient amount of time. Therefore, that is adequate in the eyes of the state and the government, who can essentially say whatever they want. Bill, even though they didn't come out of you and you didn't father them, you nevertheless lived with them for 2.5 years and acted as their father. As a result, you are now responsible for paying child support until they are essentially adults. Again, you guys are free to share these things and engage in debate about them. You may even say things like, "Here's a field report. How would you handle this? I'm with the child, a single mother, and you. Why? Seriously, why not refrain from doing it?" Let's wrap this up since that is the only justification, because there are so many of them. And I can see it because there is no accountability to women. Dudes only deal with single mothers in general. I'm aware that some YouTube channels aim to hold women accountable and gain a lot of viewers and revenue in the process. 2. They never change. Reasonable standards, or even men's reasonable standards. The ones I'm referring to are only there for fun. However, doing any of that is completely pointless and useless given that single moms are the only people you typically interact with. You are lowering your standards by making concessions. You must hold yourself to higher standards if you want to live a better life, get more from it, flourish in it, and generally lead a simple, prosperous, enjoyable existence. I am not aware of any successful, wealthy, or physically fit guys. They are intriguing, interesting, and have a lot of social evidence. They also live enjoyable lifestyles. They tend to choose younger, more attractive women without children because they are more of a top-shelf type of guy who will choose a woman with children over one who is younger, hotter, and more fertile without some other dude's children. Be that person. Level yourself up to the top 1%, 5%, or whatever that is, but strive to be that guy who enters the top percentile of things. And after that, none of this foolishness is your problem. You can simply disregard it and respond, "Nope, you're cute," and everything. And I have no problem participating in limited arrangements like friends with benefits. However, I'd rather not run across Billy, Bobby, Sally, or anyone else. If you don't invite that issue into your life, you'll never have to engage in conversations like this with a group of unrelated strangers on a chat board after watching a few videos or reading a few books, asking them to try and provide you with some clarity and assistance regarding the things you've been doing with your life. I'll leave it at that then.